Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Good afternoon and welcome to Collaborative Connections radio show and podcast sponsored by KLM Consulting. I am your host, Kelly Lorenzen, and we are coming to you live from the Phoenix Business RadioX studio. Collaborative Connections is a radio series created to bring entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and associations together to build relationships, foster collaboration, and grow a stronger community together. Our hope for today is that listeners and guests alike will walk away with a golden nugget or a new resource for their business. Today, I have the honor of being in the studio with three amazing people that I'd love to introduce you to. First is Holly Carlson. She's an esthetician, a licensed esthetician with Basic Skincare. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Dena Patton, CEO of Dena Patton Coaching and Training, and also Girls Rule Foundation. Welcome, Dena.
Thank you.
Laurie Hamel with Western Insurance Advisors is our third and final guest. She's a senior advisor. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. So today we are going to go around and tell a little bit about our businesses. Holly, I'll have you start, but anybody feel free to jump in. We want this to be a conversation of learning, of growing, of helping each other. My thing, a takeaway I'd love to have the listeners have is maybe we're all business owners, right? So maybe a piece of advice that you have used time and time again that you got from somebody in your business, or something that you got an advice and you maybe tried it or said, oh no, that's not going to work. So maybe a piece of advice that didn't work. So one or the other. So in the conversation, if you can throw in advice that you loved or hated that worked or didn't work along the way, that'd be great. Holly is with Face It Skincare. You own Face It Skincare. Tell us a little bit about Face It Skincare.
Well, Face It Skincare, like I said, I'm a licensed esthetician. I'm also a licensed aesthetics instructor. So I can actually teach students, how to be an esthetician. But mostly what my business is about corrective skincare, anti-aging, acne. I do a little bit of facial waxing, but no body waxing. I'm mostly about helping you feel and look your best. And that's my goal. I love also doing, I do facials, microneedling, dermaplaning, a lot more of the advanced procedures in the aesthetics industry. And mostly what I love is I love working with clients and helping them reach their skincare goals because skin is amazing and it's important.
It is. It's part of your everyday health.
Yes.
It should be just as important as your teeth, right?
Exactly. It's not just, skincare is part of self-care. It's a necessity in this world.
Absolutely. So I've had every single one of your treatments, I think. But for those of you, listeners maybe who don't know let's say three things. What's a microneedling?
Microneedling, what it is it's basically called collagen induction therapy. And what microneedling does is it kind of creates a controlled injury to the skin. Now, we're not really injuring the skin because we're using hyaluronic acid to puncture into the skin cells, which automatically heal those top layer skin cells. But your dermis, which is in charge of creating new collagen and also healing, actually then kicks into high gear and says, oh, wait, there's an injury up there. I got to fix this. I got to, push up collagen and skin cells and make this better. It's almost like when you get a cut and the cut heals from the bottom up. That's what microneedling does. And it starts to fill in fine lines and scars and things like that while being very non-invasive. So even though you might be a little pink and things like that, you are not going to have any downtime with this. It's not like a laser treatment where you remove your entire top layer of skin and you've got to be home for 12 days. This is actually something that's very effective that you can go to work the very next day and no one's going to know you had it done.
That's great. And what about a microdermabrasion?
Microdermabrasion is awesome because it's kind of a nice polishing of the skin. It's a really great exfoliation. It's what we sort of call a manual exfoliation where it's a machine and it uses a diamond tip to go along the skin surface to remove the dead skin cells. Also gives you a nice polished kind of look, and it also does get that dermis kind of working a little bit to kind of help with scars and also sometimes helps clear out the pores and things like that too.
That's great. And tell us last about teen acne, because I've brought my son to you and you're helping him with his acne. A lot of teens suffer from acne. So I know you tell me all of this stuff because I already know your answers, but for those of our listeners, why would you bring a teen to you for acne rather than, number one, just take them to a dermatologist, they're going to put them on Accutane, right?
Well, Accutane has a lot of side effects. In fact, I even have a friend who he did Accutane as a teenager, and he now has severe back pain and back issues from the Accutane. And there's not a lot that can be done for that. What I use is called Face Reality, and it's a series of, home care and also chemical peels, not like the chemical peels that you see where, the skin is completely removed. They're more superficial peels of mandelic acid base. Mandelic acid can actually go down into like the skincare, into the follicle of the skin and disinfect and work on inflammation and clear out that acne, even on those middle layers of skin. Acne is horrible. I mean, I feel for anyone who has it, and it's really become a major trademark of my business. And what I really work towards is trying to help people clear their acne, even in adults. I mean, people tell people, oh, you'll outgrow it. And not everybody outgrows acne. I have plenty of people that have had acne since, they were 10 and they're now 40 and they're still dealing with this. And this system has actually been able to get them clear.
That's so great. And I heard you say you teach estheticians. So what are you teaching them? So somebody who just got their license maybe and wants to know other ways to help their clients?
Yes, usually when you get out of school, the basics, sanitation, of course, is a big thing that you learn in the school. But you also do, learn basic facials and things like that. What I generally teach in my salon area shop is microneedling, because a lot of schools don't teach microneedling because a lot of times their insurance won't allow it. Dermaplaning is also something that I teach as well. And then sometimes I have nurses that will kind of want to get into the industry that will contact me, and we sort of do kind of a boot camp class of, helping them learn the hands-on of, some of the aesthetics work.
That's great. Tell us about LED. LED is a big buzzword these days. You have a LED light therapy. So tell us what that's good for.
LED light is amazing. It's called light emitting diode. It is not UVA or UVB light, so it's non-harmful. And what LED light can do is there's different colors for different things. Red light can go down to the dermal layer, which then heats up your dermis and actually helps get that new skin cells going, helps to fill in lines and scars, helps with tightening. So the red light is great for the anti-aging. It also can sometimes help with inflammation. Blue light is more for acne, and blue light goes to those middle layers of skin where acne is formed and works on disinfection and also inflammation. So it kind of helps with the acne that's already formed. And let's say someone has cystic acne and they get a lot of those really big painful ones. This can actually make them much smaller by the time they actually reach the surface of the skin, since the lifetime of an acne is 90 to 120 days. So someone who's acne prone can already have acne formed on their lower layers of skin. And so the LED light can try to get rid of it at those middle layers of skin, or at least lessen it if they're prone to the cystic acne.
That's great. So advice, something for listeners to help them with their acne or their face, like maybe they have just dark spots, or maybe they have acne and they're like, I don't know, I'm too nervous. I don't know. What differentiates you, some from other estheticians, let's say?
I would probably say one is I used to be a social worker and a probation officer, so I come from a very caring line of work. And, you have to, you see there's so much on television, and we get inundated with, oh, if you do this and all this, and not everybody's the same. And estheticians understand that not everyone's skin is the same. And just because something might work for Laurie doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, because your skin could be different. And so estheticians understand that. And also too is, a lot of times some of the over-the-counter products can be overstripping if you have acne, and then you're actually creating more acne because your pores are trying to keep up and they're getting clogged again. Also too, I had a client that just came in the other day who bought, every retinol product there is over the counter, and she almost, burned her skin off and had a lot of irritation. So because she thought she was supposed to do that like every day. Well, with retinol products, there's a slow introduction process to it. You can't just toss retinol on your face every day in the beginning. So estheticians help answer those questions and help you see through those kind of waters of what's the best thing for your skin. And also too, I specialize in everything is customized to you. So if you come to see me, and you have one issue and you say, okay, I want to work on this issue, then we're going to focus on that issue. But I'm going to make sure it's the exact treatment that you need for when you're in front of me and what you need that day.
That's awesome. Well, I know you're awesome already.
Well,
Next guest is Laurie Hamel with Western Insurance Advisors. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your company.
Well, I've been in business I've been a licensed health insurance agent for 10 years, specializing in the individual market. Now, I never, ever thought I'd be, as a profession, an insurance agent. I can't even say that I like insurance. But at the end of the day, my goal is to save the client's money, because whatever you're paying in monthly premium, when you're 65 years old, the insurance company does not tap you on the back and say, you are a great client, here's your money back. So my goal is to keep their costs down while still providing them with good benefits.
That's great. So have you been in Arizona your whole life?
I have not. I'm originally from California. So I was telling somebody the other day, I have never driven in the snow. California. I've been in Arizona for 23 years. So I kind of feel like a native.
Oh, and have you always been in this industry?
For the last 10 years.
10 years. And what did you do
before that? I was a stay-at-home mom. I have 5 children.
Oh,
3 boys and 2 girls. They kept me busy.
I bet they did. Can someone purchase health insurance outside of open enrollment?
They can. There are many people that think that they have to purchase their health insurance from November 1st to December 15th. Now, that is always a great time to review your coverage, because that's when we have the most options available. But there are policies that are available all year long, although those will have medical underwriting. So if you have some medical conditions, they could possibly prevent you from getting a policy outside of open enrollment.
So it's better to do it during this time of year.
Yes, or at least talk to a trusted advisor that can guide you.
So you know what to do. I have no idea about health insurance. Whatever you say, right? So you have to have somebody on your side that knows what you need and knows your history, so you can have the best option.
There's a lot of people that want to buy their insurance online, and that just is not a good idea, because people judge it by premium and deductibles. And there's so much more to it than that. There's so many more things to know. And so it's always a good idea to sit down, talk to somebody, because it's an important decision. Heaven forbid you end up being that person that has a catastrophic illness, and you want to make sure you're covered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I get a plan and keep my current doctors? Like if we switched, can we keep the current?
Depending on the plan, since the Affordable Care Act came out, a lot of plans went to HMOs, meaning that's a health maintenance organization. So you have to go see your primary care physician, who then refers you to a specialist. For a while, that's all we had with major medical policies. Every year we get a few more, and we do have policies that are PPO plans. They're a little different than the traditional policies that we've had in the past, but a lot of them can provide very good coverage.
And you're like an accountant. I mean, in that everybody should have a health insurance advisor, right? An accountant. Yes. Because we don't know all the laws. We can't keep track of all that. So it's so much better just to have somebody in your corner who knows what all the new, because there's so many new changes.
It changes. We get new companies that are approved in Arizona every year. It seems like we get a few more options, which is great.
That is so nice.
One of the things that I get asked a lot about are health savings accounts, because people love them, especially self-employed individuals. And if you have a group policy, you can still get them. But as of now, health savings accounts are not available on the individual market. But I do hope to see those in the next few years.
That'd be so nice, because I know with City of Phoenix, my husband's a fireman, and so we have a health savings account now, which is so nice because we don't go to the traditional, we want the alternative care. So it's so nice to have those. Mm-hmm. You can pay for the prescriptions or the naturopathic doctors or the chiropractors or whoever you need to pay for, which is not in the normal plan.
And then you get that nice tax benefit at the end of the year.
which we all need as business owners. Right. The tax benefits will make a huge difference. Is there in picking somebody to help you, how would somebody pick? I mean, of course we want to use you, so how would somebody choose a health insurance person to help them?
A lot of times it's referrals. It's asking, your friends and family and seeing who they use. Are they happy with their agent? Make sure that their license is in good standing. That's a good idea as well.
I bet. That's something people don't even think about, estheticians or like, oh, what about their license? Or you look at the doctors, and see if they have any things on their record. It's a good idea. That's a good idea. Anything else you want to touch on?
One thing I always like to tell people, because they don't realize it, is doctors and hospitals, they bill very quickly. And a lot of times they send you a bill before your insurance company has even gotten it. So I always like to tell people, never, ever pay a bill until you see an explanation of benefits from your insurance company. Because the hospital's going to send you that retail bill that's going to have you stressed out, but it has not yet been negotiated down. And so please don't pay your bills directly from the provider. Wait till it runs through your insurance company and you receive that explanation of benefits, because it's going to be discounted, and then you will know what you owe. Now, if your provider bill and the EOB does not match up, then you need to dig into it a little bit more.
And is that something that you help with?
I'm not really supposed to help with claims because some policies out there actually have concierge services that you can call the concierge service and they can help you with that.
Yeah, that's something you don't even think about, right? You go to let's say the emergency room and they're like, that's $500. And I've known always to say, actually just bill me, because my deductible may be different, or my plan may be different than what you have. Or this time of year, we start to get checks back from everybody. Like, do you really want me to pay you and then you just have to pay me back? Or do you want to just send me a bill with whatever's left? So it's nice, all those little tips you can give to people that they wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah, people are just a little too quick sometimes. I mean, it's good that you want to pay your bills, but when it comes to insurance, it takes about 60 to 90 days for everything to process. So just keep that in mind.
Are there options for small business owners to offer coverage to their employees and keep costs down? Because I know that's a huge deal right now.
It is. And there's, with small business owners, when they are doing traditional major medical policies, the problem is it can become very unaffordable for the business. But I know a lot of business owners who they want to do something for their employees. And there are options out there that can keep their costs down. And it's just about finding someone and talking to them about whether it's a good fit for the business.
Yeah, that's nice. And then all the options, so you can say, this might be good, but this will cost this. And I mean, we couldn't figure that out on our own.
I can give them the pros and cons. That way they can make a good decision.
That's right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dena Patton. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us a little bit about your coaching business and your amazing nonprofit.
Well, I have been a business coach for 18 years and working with entrepreneurs, founders, leaders, and corporate teams. And I love it. I help people do really cool, epic things in the world, which is my addiction. I just love seeing people really do great things in the world. And so I've been doing that for 18 years. And then about 8 years ago, co-founded the Girls Rule Foundation, which what I found in my coaching and working with thousands of women leaders and CEOs, there was a pattern of women not learning the leadership and empowerment and self-esteem skills until later in our career years. And it was, when you find out stuff like this, sometimes you feel like, it was just me. Oh, now there's two of us. It's just the two of us. And then there's 5, and then 10, and then 100. And all of a sudden I thought, okay, if 300 women are saying the same thing, maybe there's something to this. So I started to do the research on how are we training and developing girls. Although there's some really great girl charities doing great things, I felt like there was a gap in intentional training and development around self-esteem and leadership specifically, so that our girls really grow up with those skill sets and they're not getting it at 30 or even 20. They're getting
or 40
it at 12. 12. So I started the Girls Rule Foundation. We really teach that resiliency and help them be resilient and not a statistic and powerful girl leaders. And we have 4 programs.
And tell us about those programs.
Well, one is our Mother-Daughter Summit that happens every quarter here in Phoenix. The second one is our summer camp that happens every summer, 1 week for middle school girls, 1 week for high school girls. Then our third one is actually coming up. It is our Brilliant, Beautiful, and Bold Role Model Awards. And that's really special because that's Arizona State only. And it's principals, leaders, teachers, mentors who nominate a girl they see potential in. It's a girl who's making a difference. It's a girl who's showing leadership. It's that type of girl. They nominate them. And then our reading committee reads these nominations, and we do a wonderful evening to celebrate all of our nominees, actually this year at ASU. And then we choose 6 winners, and those winners win a full year of coaching with our coaching team, our mentor team of leadership mentoring, and $1,000 to further their dreams. So it's very life-changing, and this is our 7th year of doing that. And then the 4th program is national, and that is our after-school club. It's called Dream Labs. So it's a 12-week leadership program. Any group, team, school, church, if you have a group of girls, it's a plug-and-play curriculum. It's available on our website. You literally buy it. Boom, you can start your club that week with your girls.
Well, I know all of them very intimately as a board member. For those people who don't know about Girls Rule Foundation, local nonprofit, supported mainly by volunteers. Mm-hmm. So if you were to one ask or two asks, mm-hmm. what is it? Because we are so supported by all the local communities, associations, yes. Volunteers, something that you need from the community.
Yeah. Well, my need is always 3-pronged. It's our wish list, which are those little things that people don't think of, like reams of paper and ink. Like those little things add up for us a lot. So that wish list is on our website. Volunteers, we have amazing volunteers. 95% of what we do is volunteers. So definitely volunteers at every level. And then third is donation. I'm on a mission right now to raise about $92,000 to hire our first program manager. For us to really scale this after-school club across the country, we need a dedicated person on that program and helping that grow. And that can only happen if we raise some money for a program director. So I'm so excited at that possibility because, like I said, we've been volunteer up to now. So that's really the big ask. And, that can happen through one big donor. It could happen through literally, a handful of people donating $1,000. I mean, every dollar counts.
There's a ton of nonprofits in the Valley, but you mm-hmm. have to find something that connects with you, right? Yes. Something that you believe in. And that's one of the things that attracted me to Girls Rule Foundation was, don't you wish we would have had when we were a 12, 15, 18 years old, had somebody say to us, self-care should be number 1 priority. Mm-hmm. Number 2, leadership. I mean, luckily that was in my in my genes, the leadership part of it. But there's so many things that if we were taught as young kids, which I know most people grew up, didn't have all that mentoring and all that stuff. This is a huge draw for me is like, let's teach these young girls so they don't get to be my age and go, oh, I wish I would have known.
Yes. I didn't know, or, I had to learn the hard way about self-care. 27, I had a minor stroke. They said, you need to learn boundaries and self-care. And I was like, I literally didn't even know I'm like, what does that mean? in reality. You know, some of these phrases that we say at Girls Rule, you know, we knew in theory, but we didn't know what it actually meant. Like, how do you break down your leadership, you know, into an actual tool that you can pull out in a minute to handle that situation at school, or that bullying situation, or a situation where, you know, girls get disempowered. We get, human beings get disempowered all the time. Do you have tools on your tool belt that you can pull out and say, I can handle this with this tool or this skill set? That's what I mean.
Huge,
you know, it's so huge at 15.
Right?
I wish
that you had a mentor that was paid for, that'd been through all the stuff that you're going through to be able to walk you through that. And we, because I say we.
Of course you say we. She's hardworking board member.
The Girls Rule Foundation is prevention, right? It's teach these girls so they're not a statistic, so they don't get pregnant, so the suicide rate doesn't keep skyrocketing.
Right.
Like we need these programs, and it's such a cool thing because we have the programs and so many other people have the girls.
Yes.
Right? So it's such a great collaboration.
Yes. In fact, this morning I just came here from a meeting with another girls' charity in town who have many girls, but they are looking for new level of programming. And that's the third girls' charity that we've worked with. So it's awesome because we have this powerful curriculum that is based in our 12 leadership principles and SEL work. And all these groups and schools have the girls, but they don't have the curriculum. And so, and now with Dream Labs, you know, anybody can open a club with their group of girls anywhere in the world. And we have 3 in Africa already. So it's really exciting too. And that's really the dream, is empower and educate and equip girls with the tools that make a difference. And we've been so limited because all of our teaching has been here in Phoenix. And now with Dream Lab, it just made us global instantly. So
it's cool. Yeah. And coming as a business owner, as a woman, as a mother of children, this nonprofit is not just for girls 12 to 18. I get so much out of it as a board member, as a volunteer on this. It's huge. I mean, we're learning the same things they are as we go through the programs with them, right? To learn, you know, oh, I get to be a volunteer. And oh, by the way, you get to learn something about yourself or about how to run your business, how to have self-care, how to teach leadership to our younger generation who's someday going to take care of us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How do you handle those social media? Because I'm very thankful that there was no Facebook, Instagram,
I say that all the time
when I was a kid, because I really feel like it's added so much pressure to young girls. Because, you know, you see like Kim Kardashian out there with this airbrushed photo and a million surgeries and, you know, and things like that. And, you know, I even know in my industry, that's, you know, people come to me and they say, well, make me look like that. Well, we need to be realistic on what everything that she's done, but also realistic on what that picture really is. How are you combating that, would you say, in your program?
Yeah, it's actually one of our under self-care is self-image, and our self-image, and we really unpack this with the girls about self-image and self-esteem. And we first and foremost talk about self-esteem as an inner job, not an external job, right? So we don't get our self-esteem externally. Boys, grades, trophies. I mean, all those great things that happen externally are awesome, but they're not our self-esteem. Our self-esteem is inside, and we're the only ones that can grow it. So they have to understand that and how to do that first. Then we battle the social media piece. The short of it is we do give some examples of not only self-esteem, of how people are addicted to the dopamine, right? That it gives us, the likes. And that it's actually one of the big reasons why Facebook and Instagram are literally being sued for so many suicides. And it's not, you know, it's uncharted territory right now. This is new. But what's happening is people are seeing the comparison of Kim. Oh, I'm not like that. She is. Or they're seeing likes and not likes, right? And their self-esteem, they don't have the self-esteem skills to manage not getting likes. So the suicide experts are saying the phone addiction and social media addiction are the number one reason behind suicides right now and self-harm. So for us to get to our youth, I mean, we have a program specifically that unpacks social media in this because it's so entangled with self-esteem right now. So unless schools partner with parents, like this is such a big deal on so many levels. And I know I'm seeing schools, you guys are probably seeing schools take some action, whether it's bringing in speakers or helping kids understand that their image and their self-esteem is not online. But the comparison, those are the messages that girls heavily get, is the beauty industry is you're not enough, buy this cream, right? Or you're not pretty enough, So it's going to take a village. That's why our programs, I just feel like, are so important to girls right now. If we truly want empowered girls who know their worth and get to college, get to their careers, become healthy, have healthy relationships, they have to start now, because I think girls are really entangled with the social media world.
And
With
it starts
selfies.
so young.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's starting at 8 to 10. It used to start around 14. And then it went to 12. We're now down in the 8 to 10-year-olds who have phones, full access, and social media. So it's hard. It's a very, very big subject right now. And I wish there was actually some government participation and funding to help educate schools and parents more. We would love that.
To have the reach, to have the better reach, to have, we have all the programs, right? We have all the skills to teach them, and the SEL, luckily in Arizona, it's finally starting to become part of the curriculum. So now it's going to be a necessity that they're going to need the programs to teach these girls that this is a necessity, you guys, and for boys too. And taking it, we can use the same skills we're teaching the girls. The boys just don't talk about it, right? The girls at least are, we can talk to them about taking selfies and all the, and what to actually focus on is their values, their core values, and teaching them the skills, the leadership is so much better.
But there's two major things that have happened in the last year that are just, mind-blowing, that I literally want to sit down with the governor of this state and have a conversation with. There's a high school here that the boys were asking the girls to text nude photos, and then they were rating them. And if you weren't rated, you're a nobody. So there's this pressure to do it. 150 girls at this school. So when you look at both sides, you look at the boys, like what's going on with them? Is this a power play? Is this just sexual? Is this what's going on there?
Peer pressure. And then the girls, the peer pressure to do it. So now you have 14 and 16-year-old girls texting, and then you have this group of boys I think there was 12 boys that were rating them. I mean, that's just
humiliating.
It's at a private school that I had to tell the principal it was going on. I was the one who had to deliver that. But then there was, there's been a few situations where one post, got someone expelled or lost their college scholarship because of that one negative post. And so that the weight of a post, to us, sometimes we just think, oh, it's just a picture. It's just this, it's just that. But they don't understand that's a wrong picture, or you're saying, it's racist or it's hurtful, and it gets them in a lot of trouble. So one post can ruin your life. Many people are finding that out, adults too, right? But let's teach our kids. So it's a very dangerous line that we're all learning right now.
Yeah. Wow. And the impact can be so huge from all of us as women in leadership, right? To have on our younger generation. Yeah. And I know that's why you've been doing it for, teaching the adults, helping them understand self-care is a necessity.
Absolutely. Every one of my clients, everyone that I coach in the business world, the very first thing I do is a self-care plan, because I think it's a really big missing, not just women, men too, my men clients, because we work so hard, especially as business owners or leaders. We have huge pressure to produce results, manage teams. You're running a multi-million-dollar project or division or business. And the first thing to go is your self-care, mind, body, spirit. And all of a sudden, a year later, you have a disease or divorce or death. So it's just really important that I think as business owners, we all have some kind of level of self-care plan on a daily, weekly, monthly schedule.
Well, it's also important to unplug. I mean, I've just put a rule, which Kelly will be abiding by.
She calls me out.
That when people are in my room, their phones are put away.
Yes.
And I don't let you have your phone. I understand, maybe if there's a babysitter situation or something like that, and I say, okay, well, you can put your phone on the counter, but it's something that I'm starting to do now is you need to be in the moment. You're here for a reason, and you don't need to be on your phone, 24/7. I read an article that basically a phone is more addicting than, cocaine and heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've started to do, and Kelly, you will be doing this.
Well, we need
you
the
did
reminder.
make me do that last time.
Yes.
I think I fell asleep.
Yep, exactly. I made Laurie put her phone away too. The phone has to go down. You have to live sometimes in the moment, and you just have to enjoy whatever, your self-care is. And, sometimes, I have people that come to me they want the corrective skincare, they want the aggressive, but that's also self-care. And so that's why I say when you're in here, especially if they're in for like a facial or something a little more relaxing, your phone's away. If you need me to look at your phone, if, something like, okay, fine, I can do that. But, that's kind of a rule I've instituted. And I've instituted it with the teenagers. And the teenagers at first were like, well, I don't want to go. And I was like, okay, well, then you're not going to get your acne treated. You're not going to get your acne treatment today. You figure out what's more important. And they're starting to, really actually be on board with it.
Yes. Well, and I think they appreciate it. Really, I think kids appreciate boundaries and structures and rules. My daughter has 90 minutes of internet or Wi-Fi a day. And the first couple of weeks, it was like she couldn't handle it. And now she manages it. She appreciates it. We took out a game last night. We actually played Battleship. It's become one of our favorite games, the little family time. And at first, I think they might get triggered. But I think at the end of the day, we are all human beings and we want that connection. But we need the boundaries, someone to say, put away the phone, and those rules. So I think that's good.
Yeah,
we all
good
need
rule.
reminders.
Need that human connection.
We all need reminders, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all need the reminder of, hey, let's be present. And I'm so good at it at home with the kids. It's like I'm off the grid for however many hours I'm with them, but it's in the middle of the day when you're trying to get everything
on
done
my
before.
table.
Not on your not on your table. Only when my son's getting his treatment. But you're so good because you're a probation officer. You're so good with the kids. Like, okay, so
I didn't know Holly
tell
had
them.
that in her past.
Oh, yes.
I love that.
She's good at that. She knows how to talk to them and to me, right?
Well, it's also, one of my clients once joked that I get along so well with the teens because I'm on their level.
Thanks a lot.
There's some days where I feel like maybe I am.
That's awesome.
So let's go around and one piece of advice, like we talked about earlier on, that you have lived by, or one piece of advice that you may have tried and you hated. Is there something that you can think of, Holly?
I would probably say a piece of advice that I live by is just, someone once told me, there's ups and downs in business, as, we all know. You just got to sometimes ride the waves. And even when, sometimes it's almost like a surfer, even when it's not your wave, it doesn't mean that you can't still be out there working it and trying to find your wave. And when you do get your wave and everything's going well, you still got to think about when things are not going to go well. And so that's one of the best pieces of advice is, persevere, see through, don't give up. And just because it's not your wave doesn't mean that your wave's not coming.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And then probably, I hadn't really got a lot of bad advice, I would say. Although I do think that, one of the things I've learned is sometimes, and in my industry, we rely so much on advertising for social media. And we forget about things like, networking groups, which is, I was fortunate enough to meet Laurie in a networking group that's amazing. And so sometimes you can't forget, we get so wrapped up, like we were saying, the social media. You can't forget that when you're in a business, you're still in the business of people, and you have to make those connections with people. And so sometimes, when people sit there and say, oh, you need to be on, Facebook Live every day, you need to be able to, that's only part of it. You need to spend a lot of time trying to make that human connection with people and reaching out to human beings.
Absolutely. I built every business on referral and networking for sure. It's the best. Laurie, what about you?
I agree. I totally agree with Holly and what she had to say. I would say don't listen to the naysayers, because no matter what you start, when you're making a change, when you're wanting to grow your business, there's always going to be those. And sometimes they're the ones that are closest to you that are telling you, that's just not a good idea. So when you have a passion and a dream, just keep plugging away and go for it. And one of the things I used to, when my kids were little, I would always say, and I don't remember who said this quote, but do what you say what you mean, and be what you seem. And I think that's an important way to live life.
Say it one more time.
Do what you say what you mean, and be what you seem.
Love that.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
So good.
Dena, what about you?
I think one of the most influential pieces of advice was in New York. So I opened my first business in New York City at 24, and I had the luxury of meeting Michael Bloomberg. And at the time, I mean, he is very successful. But at the time, I mean, this is maybe 30 years ago, 25 years ago. And what he did was he was all about intentional connection. And it has become like the foundation of every business that I've built. And yeah, networking, yes, but I mean even more than that. And what he did that just blew my mind was he built spiral staircases between his floors. So I think he had like 5 floors in the building that he was in at the time, and no one could take the elevator between floors. You had to walk these spirals. And so you would literally touch each other like up and down the stairs. And the snack areas were intentionally like small. So it just was this different spin of intentional connection with your teams, with each other. And I've brought that into my parenting. I've brought that into Girls Rule. I've brought that into my businesses. So it's just get creative with being intentional with your connection.
That's exactly why I started the radio show. Is like we need this intentional connection with each other and to help each other grow. I mean, I'm all about local business, right? And supporting local nonprofits and having that and having us in a room together to actually sit down and take the time to learn about each other and help each other grow as business owners, as supporting our local nonprofits is a huge deal to me. And so I said, we got to figure out a way to do this. Oh, this is the perfect way.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. I think one piece of advice for me is along your lines, Holly, is have that, and same thing is have that personal connection. Don't forget about all the people you've had in the past, right? Learn from your past. I love, Dena, when you gave the speech at the Chandler Chamber of Commerce, how you made us all stand up, turn around. Thank you for the lessons, tell your past. Thank you for the lessons you've given us. And then turn around to your future. Now use those same lessons, take the golden nuggets and use those in the future. I mean, that's a huge, and you can say it better than me.
You did a great job. You're hired.
is to bring those people with you, right? You bring those connections with you. I mean, I've been a part of the Tempe Chamber of Commerce literally since the first business I've owned, 23 years old, like forever. And the intentional connections of, or something like this, like at Max 6 at the co-working, or to be a part of Girls Rule. It's intentional. You want to be around people that lift you up, that build you up, to be a part of something that is the same connection, to have those connections is huge.
Well, and I subscribe to, you brought up networking groups. When I first moved back to Phoenix in 2002, I think I joined like 6 groups and it's just so much. It's too much. Right. And quantity isn't always better quality. Right. And so my kind of formula is one networking group, one charity, one neighborhood group, like a PTA or a neighborhood or HOA or something like that. So that's kind of my formula now is that I choose one networking group and I get involved and I show up and I meet people and I know people and I'm heavily involved. One charity, which now it's a girls' rule. It used to not be, but it's dedicated there. And then one like neighborhood or my daughter's school or something like that. And it creates those different circles of connection, I think is important, or a church group, something like that. But I think that in this world of technology, we can get pulled apart. And that's what I think a lot of people are feeling. And a lot of small businesses, although we're so connected, our soul and our spirit isn't. Just because we're Facebook friends, it doesn't necessarily mean that I've sat with you for coffee. And actually, me and a girlfriend that I met at at eWomen Network, we used to be really great friends and saw each other every month at luncheons and all that, and grew our businesses together. I haven't seen her in 3 years, and I think part of it is because of Facebook. There's an illusion, like I feel connected to her because I follow her. I'm intentional about checking in with my friends and clients on Facebook, so there's a feeling of connection. But there was this realization, oh my gosh, I haven't physically seen her in like 2.5 years.
It's so sad. And you just want to
Right?
hug,
Right?
right?
I
just want
know.
to see my friends. I want to hug them.
I know. I did. Literally, I text her. I'm like, we have to have a glass of wine or we have to go to coffee. So I think that's what we have to be careful of is, yes, we're connected, but, keeping that live, friendships and relationships together.
Because we need it as human beings. Like you said before, we all need that connection, the human connection. And the more you get, the more longer you're in Arizona, the more it becomes a smaller and smaller world, right? So the more people we meet, the more people we love, and we can refer to other people. And we're all supporting local businesses and supporting each other's, strive for what we want to do for them. It's a huge deal. Okay, so if you could think of somebody in your life, 1 to 3 people, who have been the most influential people in your life? Now, it could be, again, somebody you follow, on, like, say, a celebrity, or it could be a mentor, or it could be a parent. Tell us a couple people that have been the most influential to you.
Oh, that's tough. Definitely my parents, for supporting me and probably putting up with my shenanigans and that kind of stuff. I would also probably say one of the instructors when I was going through aesthetic school who, she kind of had her hand in a lot of different things, and she was really influential in just kind of sitting me down when I was thinking about starting a business and saying, nah, you can do it. You're smart. And it was something so simple, but it really was very influential. I was like, wait, I am smart. I can do this. I know my stuff, And then I would probably say another person who was really influential for me a long time ago was a judge that I worked with in Fountain Hills, who was just very supportive of everything I ever wanted to do. And even when I left the department, Judge Ted Armbruster, I think he's actually a federal judge now, but just a super kind man who supported me in everything I ever needed to do when I was with, the county. But then even when I left the county, he just always told me, like, you're a rock star and I have no worries about where you're going to be in this world.
So cool. Those little things you remember along the way. Like you said, Laurie, about the naysayers, right? We can't listen to the naysayers. We got to keep putting those out of our brain, right? Quiet those and listen to the ones that do influence us the best. I know at the last Girls Rule Summit, we had a pilot who, for Southwest Airlines, she's in her 30s. She lived in Russia. She graduated high school at 15 years old. Every single person in her life, including her parents, told her she couldn't be a pilot. And that's all she wanted to do. She, at 15, graduated high school and said, I'm going to go, apply for all the schools, the flight schools, and applied for all of them. They all said no because women can't fly airplanes. So then she wrote the government they said no because women can't fly airplanes. So she figured out a way without her parents, without anybody in her family to support her, came to the United States to figure out how to become a pilot. I mean, just an amazing story of like, naysayers, like you said, the closest people to you, oh, well, I'm still going to do it. Don't doubt yourself. If you want something so bad that you move yourself across the world to do it, good for her.
Right.
That's a great story.
Yeah. And she was so little. I mean, she was probably 5 feet tall. I mean,
and 90 pounds.
The smallest woman. And just, but so mighty. Yes, so mighty. And I think the girls just loved hearing how powerful, you just that focus and that perseverance of there's a workaround to everything. You get stopped, work around. You get stopped, work around, and if we can have that, that's an open mindset. You have a closed mindset, you're not working around, you're getting stopped. So I think it's such an example. That's why I just loved her story. It's so powerful in the example of what we're talking about of how do you pursue your dreams and not get stopped? How do you build a business and not get stopped? There are a million breakdowns a week with small business owners. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not an HR issue, it's a technology issue, or it's a marketing issue, or it's a cash flow issue. There's breakdowns all the time, and you have to have that greatness, that focus, that perseverance to keep going, ride the wave. Yeah.
Dena, since we're on you, tell us anybody that you've had in your life that's been influential for you.
Well, I think definitely my mom, for sure. But I think early on, it was my grandmother, my Greek grandmother. And one of the biggest things that she said to me is never be your checkbook. And that has served me so much in my life. And what that means is, she said, if you have $1 million in your checkbook, don't be that. If you have $2 in your checkbook, don't be that. I think that we can become our checkbook. I've seen people who, they become wealthy and it, that ego and that power of I have money now. They just become their checkbook, and it's just like icky. You just want to take a shower, like, ugh. And they have no idea that they're landing like that, and then, those broke times, there were a couple moments in my first couple years in New York that, I mean, it's like, are you going to eat tomorrow? Those first couple of years of owning your first business are scary. And so whether it's a college student or a business owner and you have $5 in your account, do not be your checkbook. You walk into the room, you don't lose your power. You still own, you own your business, you own your power, and you move on. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
that's
that.
great.
Yeah.
It is, because you can get, like you said, you teach the smallness, like you can get in that and go, I have to sell because I only have, however much in my bank account.
Right.
That totally derails you from your live who you are and be and trust in this business you've built and stick to that.
Yeah.
And don't let the dollars derail you. That's so
I think
great.
it's a good reminder. Somebody once told me when I was really struggling and when I first started my business, he said, you're not sinking, you're just momentarily momentarily capsized.
Yes.
And that was just a great visual for me, because it's like, okay, I can get through this. I can turn this raft over and get back in and keep going.
Well, derailed is a word that I use a lot because I use the train analogy. And, sometimes we do get derailed. Mm-hmm. But the point is that you can get back on track. It's like don't lose your power. Think about what you need to do right now and get back on track. And I think, but our smallness can spin us out thinking, we're drowning, let's panic. Oh my gosh, I suck. I have no skills, and it just goes to a really, really dark place. We've all been there, whether it's personal, financial, business. And so I think that mastery of your mindset of, no, I'm just derailed. what is going to get me back on track? And I think having the courage to ask yourself those hard questions of what do I need to do right now to get us to this point, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's sometimes we lose that perspective and we go to the panic and the spinning and all of that instead of just take a breath, ask yourself one hard question, then another hard question. And it's just those questions clarify, and clarity moves the train. When you get clear, if I do this one thing, that'll get me here. And then if I do this thing, it'll get me and then I'll be back on track, right? So it's just, but it takes that focus.
And people in your life, the influencers, right? To keep remembering those positive things that they told you. Laurie, do you have any people in your life that you can think of that influenced you along the way?
Quite a few, but I'll keep it short. I think in life we're constantly seeking to improve, and I really like those relationships around me that help me become a better person. And so I'd have to say my children. Somehow children are really good about bringing out your flaws. Mm-hmm. And so they've really made me a better person. And I had a mentor in the insurance business when my life was going a little sideways. I knew I was going to have to do something to earn a living. And I had been a stay-at-home mom for 27 years, and I married at 19, had never worked.
Wow.
And she came to the house and she said, I think you ought to apply with the company and get your license. I think you'd be really good at this. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of thought, well, what else am I going to do? So it wasn't really, and at the time, my claim to fame was I could sing the ABCs backwards after teaching 5 children. I got a little bored of singing them forwards. So anyway, I just, I thought, well, I wonder if my brain still works. And I went and took the test, passed, and started into the business. And there were definitely times along the way where I did want to give up because it was commission-based and it was really tough financially. In any business you go into, it's not, you can't go in expecting, it's very unusual that in 6 months you're doing great. You just got to keep plugging forward. And she was really good about just every time I got a little down, she seemed to sense it and say, keep going, you're doing fine, you're going to get this. And so I really appreciated her. And then my friend Ivan is really good about just, in a very nice way, he just always makes me a little better person, brings out the things that I can tweak but does it in a very kind way. So I just like having those relationships around me.
Right. Always mm-hmm. figuring out who's going to help lift me up, right? Mm-hmm. Who's going to make me feel better? Who can I help to make them feel better? It's that mutual connection, right? Your kids are always going to make you a better person, right?
Absolutely.
They're, the whole thing in schools now is sustainability, right? So we can't drink straws and we have to use, towels for dinner and, you have to get an electric car. And I said, how about a hybrid? We'll start there and then go from there. But they make you better, right? A mentor always, that's why I think that's so important in the girls' roles, teaching early on, ask for help, get the mentor, seek help from people who've been there, done that, who support you and love you along the way. The Tempe Chamber has been big on mentoring programs. And so I got to have Jackie Thompson is a community affairs director for Southwest Airlines. Amazing. Helped me, start businesses and has continued to be a really powerful friend for me and helped me through a lot of stuff. So always seek people, that people want to help each other, especially in Arizona.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Be a part of that. Be a part of something.
Well, and I think mentorship as a formal structure is actually hit its tipping point. It's been around for many, many years, but I mean, now it's, again, not in necessarily the entrepreneur space, but in corporate America, almost everybody has a mentor and they value mentor programs in their companies, which I think is just close to a miracle.
Seriously.
20 years ago, no way.
Sink or swim.
Mm-hmm. And now they understand human capital and that we have to train and develop our people, and I mean, almost every company that I go into now has, for my training and development, they have mentor programs, and it's just one after another, which is just so awesome to see. And I think, it raises all the ships, right? All the boats rise together. So, but entrepreneurship, I think that's back to the groups. It's another way, not just connection, but that informal mentorship. And just, when you're sitting side by side to another business owner, you can get their advice on something or a referral. We need a new app developer right now. And, I reached out to my group. And so when you can get a trusted referral from people or some mentorship, hey, I saw that someone reached out to me last week. I saw that you have an app. I'm thinking about an app for my business. What are your do's and don'ts? Mm-hmm. And it's like in 2 minutes, I could tell her some lessons that I've learned. Like, how valuable is that?
It's so nice.
Exactly.
So nice to have that. Okay, so if you were in my shoes, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted me to ask you? Anything you can think of? Did I get to all your burning questions?
You did a fabulous job, Kelly. And this has actually been very enjoyable. I've really enjoyed the time here today.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you. So tell us and the listeners how we can get a hold of each other. Is email best, or tell us your website?
My website is faceitSkincareAZ.com, and my phone number is 480-518-2775. Call or text me anytime.
You say that especially to your teenagers. Just
All right,
text
wait,
me.
Okay, they have a cutoff point at 10 o'clock. And by the way, don't tell your son the car I was looking at last night.
Laurie, what about you?
My website's westerninsuranceadvisors.com, and you can call or text me at 480-628-7165. I do try and shut down at 6 o'clock, though, so between 8 and 6.
Right, that you need your boundaries. We have to have our boundaries. Absolutely.
I'm with you. So my coaching and training website is Dena, Dena Patton, Patton.com. And Girls Rule Foundation is girlsrulefoundation.org. Phone number is 602-327-2619.
Thank you all so much for being here. I loved having you on the show. You've been listening to Collaborative Connections radio show and podcast, sponsored by KLM Consulting. KLM Consulting is an on-demand business concierge and project management firm. We love helping entrepreneurs and nonprofits build, brand, and brag about their business. Tune in on the third Thursday of every month at 1 p.m. Until next time, happy connecting.